quickly into the fourth game. It is Arena. And now Beastyqt does have a point on the board. It's actually best of 5. There we go. In the top left, having finally taken a game, it is the Yellow Terran Beastyqt. In the bottom left, as the Orange Protoss, it is HuK. Alright, so, again, that was just, that was crazy how fast that engagement went one-sided. But there are many options for now HuK, right? Beastyqt, he was the one that was on the ropes. He had to think of something different. He had to do something different. And it worked. The Liberators got into a good position, and they worked. And Liberators can look very overpowered, just like Adepts can. It just, you know, they're the later tech, so Adepts always get the shit, right? But now HuK could be like, well, Liberators really are bullshit. Like, I hate Liberators. And certainly he's said that statement before, so it might be true. Like, he actually does not like playing against Liberators just in general. But he can do Warp Prism stuff. We actually have seen a surprising lack of Warp Prisms in this PvT. Adept, Blink, I mean, if he's talking to State, maybe he does that Tempest build on this map, right? He can incorporate some DT builds. I'm just actually kind of throwing out builds right now, but I guess the one thing to note is that he can probably skip that Stargate opener he's been doing. The Phoenixes haven't been necessarily all that bad, right? But they were primarily, I think, to counter the one-base builds Beastyqt was doing in the first 2 games. You know, really get that edge up on the game. But they aren't really not necessary in a macro game. I mean, they're kind of, because you do want that anti-air to defend against drops. If you go for only Adepts, you know, get the upgrades for them, and you don't go Phoenixes, you do have a rather large period of time where you don't have anti-air, and if they identify that, and they did the right build, you know, like, they did like a barracks build into a fairly quick starport, you can be dropped to death. That is true, but I don't know, just a different place HuK can now do, because it's, up until that last game, it's been all about, like, what can Beastyqt do, and now it's, you know, back to, okay, what can they both do? Beastyqt goes for a pretty safe command center. Bunker on the low ground too. Arena does have some abusive pylon spots. And is going up to a very safe 1-1 build, it looks like. I'm gonna guess Cyclones. I guess. Not Warp Prism. The Adept does get denied. We have some, sorry. We have some results coming in, I guess, in the chat. Lilbao 1-0 Nurchio, Probe 2-1 Lily Canine. Okay, not the most surprising. Nurchio is pretty good, so it's not surprising per se, but I wouldn't imagine Lilbao 2-0's Nurchio. We'll see. Yeah, Nexus finishes up for HuK. Really not that far ahead. Just the fact that Beastyqt, you know, it is on the high ground. It is going to be a Cyclone coming from there. He does not go up to a starport, though. Let's proxy someone. No, does not go up to a starport. You go up to a starport, you can go ahead and get that Viking. You can go for a Liberator 2 to add some maybe offensive damage in there. Or you can go for a Medevac if you want to try those drops I was just talking about. But usually it is the Viking to really solidify, like, that Oracle / War Prism / Mothership, basically anything defense, right? But just going for the Cyclone right now. Bunker might want it be repositioned? Not necessarily. Oh, this would be really cool if it was a gold base taken by an SCV, but that's just the Reaper going the long, long way around. Almost looks like it's scouting for, like, hidden bases, but also potentially hidden tech. I think it just didn't want the Adepts to be right here and kill it immediately. It's always kind of sucky to lose that Reaper so quick. TLO 3-0 Scarlet? And someone said go Canada, so that was very deceiving. I guess they're talking about go HuK, because HuK's Canadian. But damn, 3-0, I did not expect that. Fly 3-0 Morrow. You know what, I'm going to stop talking about these results now, because sometimes, soon, people are going to start trolling me. And that's just not something I want right now. The Adepts get in here, they're going to have to cancel that Shade. Yeah, but they get a scout on what the army looks like, and I think they barely got a scout on that tank. He did go for Blink. Obviously, HuK did skip out on those Phoenixes, you know, and he change up his build a little bit like I was talking about, and isn't going to include that Warp Prism. But if he went for no Stargate and the Adept upgrade, he would be in a lot of trouble versus drops. With Blink, it's just like Heart of the Storm, you know, like Blink Stalker's in position and you're good to go, for the most part. Double Forge is a little greedy though. Considering that not much has really been said about this game, you know, HuK's not exactly super in the lead. Sure, Beastyqt is pretty defensive. He has a tank as a Cyclone, you know, but it's not like he's going, who were we casting earlier? Semper, was it? Semper was going way too defensive whenever we cast him, like 4 or 5 tanks, and that really cut into his aggression. Beastyqt, his stem's still a little ways off, but not as much. It's gonna be Blink Charge, actually, with those double upgrades for HuK. We have a scan somewhere. Ah, at the third base. Alright, so the third base isn't fully saturated. That's at least something for the Terrans to wipe their tears on. Oh, the Warp Prism flies right into a missile turret. Lucky break for Beastyqt. Very lucky. I mean, it's still alive. That sucks, but 8 health? That thing's gotta go away. It's gotta leave. Like, bye-bye. Oh, the Cyclone. Oh, the Cyclone! Yeah. Got it. So, it's 200 minerals, but it is robo production that, you know, HuK does want right now. So, mineral investment, not so bad. Time investment, a lot worse. And it's not necessarily the worst thing to recreate. In fact, it's pretty damn useful to recreate, but priorities are a little different right now. Just did not want to lose that Warp Prism like that. Let's see here. Lucian Phoenix comes in here, an observer over there, sees the army moving out. No splash to really abuse this choke, but at least a force field will buy HuK some time. He's got to get those pylons up because he really needs a bigger army than what he has. A couple of tanks are with this. Of course, he made those. Forgot about that. And they can find somewhat good positions. Of course, they can at the very least stop HuK from using that choke himself. But that is not a fight Beastyqt is going to commit to. Third base in the main once again, just playing pretty safe. He'd be totally fine putting out here, but you know, how would he know that? Doesn't want to play with the choke anymore, so he's going to break down the rocks. Still no medevacs. Oh, he's supply blocked. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Medevac's kind of important right now. Oh, Blink Stalkers are being quite bold. There is no escape if they go into that main base, and HuK just perhaps lost all of his Blink Stalkers. I mean, his economy is pretty baller, so he can recreate them, but that is a lot of, you know, gateway time, and just, I think, that's not what he intended. He probably thought the army was a lot farther away than it was, but either way, that's every last stalker gone, and he's got to start replenishing that count, should he choose to. Again, they're, you know, they're a lot for drop defense, but there haven't been that many drops, so maybe not so worried. But, you know, a lot of Blink Stalkers can still do quite well in head-to-head engagements. As long as they're in, like, really heavy numbers. Nah, I think the decision to go just charge out Immortal is probably better. HuK's a pro gamer, after all. There he goes, third base. Actually, desperate to transfer over his SCVs, so holds off on the orbital until then. The Charge Lot Immortal army is going to be attacking without the 2-2 upgrades. This is a little dangerous, and also without Templar Archives. This cannot be a repeat of those Blink Stalkers. You do not want to just give this entire army away. Oh, he's actually going to try and, whoa, target down the third base. That thing was going down so quickly. If Beastyqt wasn't already on top of it, that might have gone down. A good force field, definitely that second one a little bit earlier, though. The Charge Lots do have to back away, and there is no Mothership Core to save this army. This is going to be just a tug-of-war slash, you know, buying time for HuK. Alright, Beastyqt is going to disengage. There's a second Warp Prism. Definitely worth creating if you can find the time on that Robo. And HuK has stopped Immortal production for now. Where's the fourth base? I don't know where that scan was. Probably on the army, I guess. Yeah, on the army. Really wants to see if he's reinforcing that army. If there's a Warp Prism right there, that would have been useful to know. He sees more Stalkers, but he actually did not see the Warp Prism because, hey, it's over here. Once again, flying into that missile turret, but taking a little less damage this time. Way to go, buddy. But that is a big drop into the natural. The Militia Corps was in position, luckily for HuK. That could have easily have been at the third or fourth base. And Time Warp's actually going to help out. Believe it or not, a Time Warp has helped. Who'd have thunk it? Oh my god. And that was well handled by HuK. Surprisingly well handled. It really helped the Militia Corps in position. The Warp Prism, I believe, died. Yeah. Without doing much again. That's just a very nicely placed turret. Got a second turret up here too, so... That's the nice thing about Arena, is that after a time, you have enough minerals, it is easy to missile turret up. There's basically one position they're going to go into, But HuK being very bold with this this army is just constantly out on the map. That's a sign of a confident Protoss player, and there's one thing you can say about HuK, it's certainly that he's confident, and that really helps play, especially Protoss in my opinion, but StarCraft 2 in general, of course. Oh, nice snipe on that medevac. But, usually, he doesn't want to give away his entire army, even if it's mostly charge lots, that warp gate, it's still an army that's hard to replace, and being out in the open, you always risk yourself for, like, concaves and whatnot. It is a little bit dangerous. Beastyqt going into those Liberators and Ghosts at the same time as third base. It's pretty healthy, obviously, so he finds it in him to afford both of those at the same time. It's quite expensive. Also, the Fusion Core for that Liberator upgrade. No Cloak as far as I know. No, nothing from the Ghost Academy quite yet. But the EMPs, they're always effective against Protoss, no matter what the Protoss composition is. The Liberator is also going to be very helpful on that defense, too. HuK getting a good read of the situation, of the composition. He's on 4 bases. He could, once again, try and go into those Tempests, or he could just try and find the army out of position a little bit and deal with Liberators like that, but it's hard. Once again, throwing back to that TY game in GSL, if you have not seen that series, it is a damn good PvT series. Definitely recommend it. But, oh, no, doesn't get it. That was a game where it was a little bit of a head-scratcher. Once Terrans got this nice Liberator count, it did look at the Protoss as the one having a lot of trouble. And Tempests kind of seemed necessary. But if HuK thinks so, he's waiting on those Tempests, so maybe he doesn't believe in the Tempest power. Oh! Ho! Ho ho! Wahaha! He actually drops his units in the gold base. Catches the Warp Prism. What is really funny about this is that given the chance, he could also turret up this side. Huh, very interesting. Sensor Tower reveals the army positioning. Beastyqt is used to this, though, by now. This is constantly where HuK's been attacking into. Zoom out a little bit right there. But the Liberators, especially since they're nice, kind of tucked in behind whatever this thing is in the bunkers, yeah, HuK's not going to blink into that. That is a perfect defense on 3 bases. But keyword, 3 bases. Keywords, it's more than one, is 3 bases. That 4th base, oh, it's not a planetary? I can understand why, but I also don't like it. Main attack does commence the Liberators. They try to change their angle, and in doing so, let HuK move in. And most of them are now dead, but they did a lot of damage. The Storms on top of the Terran army, though, oh, there goes the Bioforce that was looking like it might have been able to clean it up, but that is it in the blink of an eye. HuK. Wow, that bloodthirst, that was precision right there. That was nice. Honestly, even if he hadn't won the game right there, he was getting to that point where Beastyqt was just going to run out of money and was going to have to rely on a very good army fight, which HuK was probably prepared to find either way. But that is going to be it for the community casting today. So